Hey boys and girls, it's your old friend Dr. Mike. And the usual caveats apply, and we're going to have one new one today. I normally don't make YouTube videos, so obviously something big's going on. I'm not your old friend, nor am I a doctor. And for today, I also have to bring up the caveat that I am not a lawyer either. However, one of the big things that's been splashing across the internet is that Set TV has gone down. And now it's, I'm seeing a lot of videos come out that are like, hey, what are these replacements for Set TV now that it's down? And obviously we know Set TV came into a bunch of, how should we put this, illegal hot water? That they were doing all kinds of things that aren't legal, and some of the big corporate lawyers from Disney and Viacom and Netflix and Amazon all decided to jump on that. So what I want to do is, before you go off and subscribe to your next IPTV subscription, I want to take you through a little bit of what we'll call a smell test to see, is this provider actually doing business legally? The first thing you've got to look for is, look at their channel lineup. If you see channels that are not available anymore, such as Spike TV, or if these channels that are in their broadcast materials or their advertising materials showing old clip art or old key art for things like the Disney Channel or Freeform, or really anything that has changed its logo or channel name and it's still present, they are not going to be a legal provider. Brands and media companies go through a lot of work and effort to make sure, hey, we've got this network, this is its new branding. Every cable provider, every legitimate IPTV provider, every legitimate anything is going to have these changes. It's not going to slide under and be, oh, whatever streams didn't pick up the new key art. It's probably because they're not legit. Another part of the smell test is the price. If they're providing you every HBO channel, HBO 2, HBO West, HBO Kids, HBO Comedy, HBO movies that my mom only watches, the Mrs. Doubtfire 24/7 HBO, HBO Southwest North Quadrant, that they're all there and they're charging you less than what the HBO GO subscription, currently $15 US, there is something funny going on there. When they are charging less than the actual provider of this content is going out there with, you need to think about that for a second. Think, hey, wait, HBO, Time Warner, now if this merger goes through, AT&T, Time Warner, global media craziness, DirecTV, leave it at, just call it HBO for now. If HBO is selling their goods for $15, why should you think someone selling them at a much less price is going to be legit, especially when that is packaged with all kinds of other crazy things? It's something to think about. And also to go with the price, if it's you're comparing it to a regular cable package and it's like, oh, it's got HBO, Showtime, Cinemax, the Movie Channel, MTV, VH1, Nickelodeon, ESPN 1 through the Ocho, every channel that you could dream of, and they're charging you $19, $15, $5? Think about it this way. There's people that'll sell you a Rolex on the street, and oh yeah, it's this nice Rolex, $50. And it's like, that's a deal for a Rolex. Rolex normally goes for a couple $1,000s, $20,000. There's something not right there. It's kind of a counterfeit. And then you see, hey, you're watching this service on your home theater that you've spent hundreds, if not thousands of dollars in having the absolute worst picture quality. Like, oh, they must have smeared like 3 layers of Vaseline on the camera to make this that salt. You're not getting the real thing, the real McCoy. And it's likely not legit. Nor was the handbag that you spent $20 on the New York City street corner. Not legit. So it's one of those things. Doesn't seem right. It's not going to be right. And what's happening is all of these resellers and everyone's like, oh no, it's legit. They're going through the Spotify rules of, yeah, there were lawsuits with Spotify when they came on, or there were lawsuits here or lawsuits there. But with TV, there's also a lot of regional rights, where if a package has channels from the US, channels from Canada, and channels from the UK, we've got the World Cup coming up in a couple of days. May even be going on when you're watching this video. However, you'd be able to watch the World Cup on Fox Sports. Fox spent quite a large chunk of money to have the distribution rights for it in the US. However, on that same service, you're getting it from Rogers Sportsnet. Rogers spent a good chunk of money, but nowhere near the chunk of money that Fox spent, because obviously Fox is going to way more people. There's lots more people in the US than there are in Canada. And the BBC spent money for showing the games in the UK. Do you think any of these providers would be happy that you'd be able to turn away from their channel, their advertising, their investment, to watch the game somewhere else while you live in the country that they have paid the money to offer you the game in? And when you think about that, your service, if it has this feature, it's not going to be legit. With all of these smell tests, you might want to say, okay, this does not seem legit. What can I do? Biggest thing I don't want to pay the cable. When you are using the sketchy streaming service that does not pass the smell test, you're putting yourself in jeopardy. It is a legal problem where if you're receiving a pay-per-view and you did not pay per view, you are stealing it. Regardless of what the reseller, the seller, the vendor told you, that, oh, you're streaming it, so you're not owning it. No, you're viewing it without paying. You're violating rights. You're putting yourself in lots of legal jeopardy. If you watch a lot of the sports that come on these, there are agreements about the retransmission or rebroadcast. Like, if you ever watched a baseball game, you cannot rebroadcast this without express written permission of the Toronto Blue Jays, the New York Yankees, and Major League Baseball. And that's if you are watching a Blue Jays and Yankees game. Could be any two teams and Major League Baseball. You cannot rebroadcast. And what the sketchy IPTV provider is doing, it's a rebroadcast. It's in a violation. And by watching it on there, you're being complicit in the issue that, hey, there's a rebroadcast, I'm watching it, and now that you know that it's a rebroadcast and against the agreement, you can be in some legal hot water. I want you to be protected, that you know, hey, yes, I'm not doing anything illegal. You'll say, oh, do it behind a VPN and you'll be fine. The only way to be 100% certain that you are going to be fine is to not partake in it. It is the easiest thing to do. Get yourself a legal provider, whether it be cable, satellite, one of the IPTV providers that I mentioned. But by doing it that way, you're protecting yourself. The one thing you don't want is a knock on the door with some guys with this nice legal document handing it over to you and saying, you got served. Because while that is a fine movie, not really, just kind of a fun movie to say you got served, you don't want to get served legal papers. You don't want to have to fight it in court, settle it. Any of this money that you are, and I use this term very loosely, saving, you're going to be out that multiple times over when the lawsuit comes. And it's not that it's if it comes, it's going to be a when it comes. Because money is what makes the world go round. You may not like to hear it, may not be the best thing for you, but that's what it is. Money makes the world go round. And once the content creators are not getting paid, once the providers who are having it rebroadcast, the sports leagues that are having it rebroadcast, like everyone that has any type of hand in this, they're going to want their share. And the fly-by-night company is going to fold up. They're going to hand over their records, and they're going to come for you. So you don't want to be the one they come for. Be legit, be legal, be safe. I'm Dr. Mike. That's what I got for you this time.